Happy holidays, everyone. I hope this deep dive finds you well. Um, as we take a look at Christmas traditions on university campuses around the world, it's fascinating. Even though Christmas is, a global holiday,
Hmm.
uh, it's celebrated in really diverse ways, and they highlight these local cultures, which is really interesting. We've got a whirlwind tour ahead of us today, like glimpses into how students experience Christmas in places like the UK, Germany, Netherlands, and Denmark and beyond.
And what's really interesting is how universities, especially during the holidays, become these little melting pots of traditions. Students are away from home, but they bring their own customs with them, and they also encounter new ways of celebrating too, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's kick things off with the UK. Our sources mention some classic elements like carols and festive lights, but they also mention some very uniquely British traditions, too. What caught my eye, and I don't know if you saw this, was wassailing.
Yeah.
It's not something you hear about every day. What is that all about?
Well, wassailing is it's really a window into history. It goes like centuries back to Anglo-Saxon times.
Wow.
Yeah, and it involved groups of people sharing this warm, spiced ale, often from these large, ornate bowls.
Ah,
Really speaks to this idea of community and shared celebration, like coming together.
I see.
Yeah.
It's interesting how some traditions, like wassailing, have faded over time. But then others, like Boxing Day, have really evolved, right? It's
Mhm.
not just about sales anymore. It has roots in, like, charitable giving, with churches collecting alms for the poor.
That's right. And for many students in the UK, Christmas is all about those like familiar comforts, returning home, maybe getting some new socks, and definitely indulging in that like post-Christmas dinner food coma, right? Our source even mentioned that lots of universities organize festive events too to keep that holiday spirit alive for students who can't make it home for the holiday.
That makes sense. It's all about finding ways to connect and celebrate. Now let's shift gears over to Germany. Our source here paints this really beautiful picture of a multicultural Christmas, with one student describing how they enjoy both German and Finnish traditions during the holidays.
Yeah, the fascinating blend. They mentioned having a traditional Finnish meal on Christmas Eve and then switching to like a full-on German feast with goose and red cabbage and dumplings on Christmas Day.
And amidst all this delicious food, they mentioned a tradition called Christbaumloben, which I think means like praising the tree. Can you imagine families gathering around the Christmas tree and singing songs in its honor?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's so unique. It almost seems like a ritual of gratitude, acknowledging the simple beauty of the tree and the joy that it brings. And of course, we can't forget about Stollen.
Yes.
This dense, fruit-filled bread isn't just a delicious treat. It actually symbolizes Christ wrapped in swaddling clothes.
That is a detail I did not know. It's amazing how food can hold so much meaning, especially during the holidays. Now let's journey to the Netherlands, where Santa Claus gets a name change and, like, a grand entrance.
Right. He's known as Sinterklaas
Sinterklaas.
and arrives in style on a white horse, accompanied by, like, the ringing of church bells. It's quite a spectacle, really, this blend of folklore and celebration.
I love that. One student even shared their plans to celebrate both Dutch and Spanish Christmas traditions with their boyfriend, which is so sweet. It's a beautiful example of how, like, relationships can introduce you to new ways of experiencing the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of unique customs, the Dutch tradition of putting out shoes for presents.
Oh, yeah.
So charming. It almost feels like a more intimate version of hanging stockings by the fireplace.
It really does. Yeah, it really highlights how gift giving, even with all its little variations, is a central part of Christmas celebrations across so many cultures.
That's true. Now let's hop over to Denmark, where we find a tradition that's, like, perfect for any language enthusiast. The Jewel calendar.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about this.
Think of it as a festive TV series with 24 episodes airing throughout December.
Wow.
It's become a cultural phenomenon in Denmark, a way for people to connect with the country's traditions in a, like, fun and engaging way.
Oh,
Even people learning Danish.
cool.
Yeah.
It's almost like a shared national experience
Yeah.
leading up to Christmas. Okay, our next stop is the Emerald Isle, where Christmas celebrations extend well beyond December 25th.
Yeah, you're right. The Irish Christmas stretches all the way to Epiphany or Little Christmas on January 6th. It's like an extended dose of holiday cheer.
I love that. And there's this beautiful tradition of, like, lighting candles in windows to symbolize a welcome for Mary and Joseph. Imagine strolling through the streets at night and seeing all these flickering candles. It must create such a warm, inviting atmosphere.
It really does. It really captures the spirit of hospitality that's like so central to the holiday season, right?
Yes.
And while you're exploring Ireland, be sure to check out the Dublin Flea Christmas Market. It's a vibrant spot, popular with students and locals alike, where you can find unique gifts and soak up the festive atmosphere. And they even have some fun Irish phrases you can try out.
Like what?
Nollaig for Christmas, and then San Nioclas, or Dédi na Nollag for Santa Claus, and Nollaig Shona Duit for Merry Christmas.
I am definitely going to have to practice those. Okay, now let's travel north to Finland, a country that's so often associated with Christmas origins and magic. It's even home to the legendary Santa Claus village in Lapland, which is like on many people's bucket lists
Yeah.
to go there.
It's a place that just like captures the imagination, especially for those who see Christmas as a time of wonder and enchantment. But there's another layer to Finnish Christmas that I find like fascinating.
Yeah.
The Sami people's celebration of the winter solstice.
That's right. The Sami people, the indigenous people of the Nordic countries, have their own rich traditions tied to the winter solstice.
Yeah.
It's a time to honor Päivi, the sun goddess, who's associated with motherhood and fertility. They even have a tradition of smearing warm butter, a symbol of the sun, on doorposts as an offering to Päivi.
It's beautiful. It's another example of how different cultures find these really unique ways to mark the changing seasons and the spirit of giving.
And speaking of giving, Finland has immersive Christmas experiences too, with Christmasland, a festive theme park,
Go!
and Rovaniemi, the official hometown of Santa Claus. You know, imagine visiting Santa's village, surrounded by snow-covered landscapes. Now let's journey across the Atlantic to the United States, a true melting pot of Christmas traditions.
Absolutely. With such a diverse population, it's no surprise that Christmas in the U.S. reflects this blend of cultures and customs. But there are those like familiar elements, like family gatherings, ham or turkey dinners, popcorn garlands, and of course, gingerbread houses.
And universities like Seton Hall really embrace that festive spirit with programs featuring everything from tree lightings and caroling to hot chocolate and candy canes. It's a great way to create that sense of community, especially for students who are away from home during the holidays.
Now, for a Christmas experience that flips the script on those traditional images, let's head down under to Australia.
You're right.
I think.
Christmas in Australia falls during their summer.
Yeah.
So instead of those snowy landscapes, you've got beaches and barbecues and sunshine. It's a totally different way to celebrate.
One student even described spending Christmas Day on the beach, enjoying a barbecue and soaking up the sun. It really challenges this idea that there's only one way to celebrate Christmas.
It's about adapting traditions to your environment and creating memories that are really meaningful for you and your family and your friends. Speaking of unique experiences, let's jet over to Japan, where Christmas takes on a very romantic feel.
It's fascinating, right? Christmas Eve in Japan is a special occasion for couples. They often exchange gifts and enjoy these romantic dates. It's a fascinating departure from like the family-focused celebrations that we see in many other countries.
And while Christmas isn't, a traditional religious holiday in Japan, the festive spirit is still alive and well, especially in the form of those like incredible light displays.
Oh, absolutely. The illuminated Christmas tree at Doshisha University in Kyoto is a prime example. It's the second tallest living Christmas tree in Japan, and it's really a breathtaking sight. And if you're looking for a truly dazzling spectacle, you can't miss the light shows in Tokyo and Kobe, particularly Kobe's Illuminary.
They sound incredible. Now, for our final stop on this, global Christmas tour, let's travel to the Philippines, another tropical destination with a strong Christian heritage.
Christmas in the Philippines is a vibrant and joyous celebration, marked by colorful decorations and festive food, and a deep sense of community.
And one of the most iconic symbols of Christmas in the Philippines is the paro, a star-shaped lantern made from bamboo and paper. It represents the star that guided the wise men to Bethlehem and symbolizes hope and light during the holiday season.
It's such a beautiful symbol, and if you find yourself in Makati during the holidays, don't miss the lighting of Ayala Avenue. The entire street is adorned with lights and decorations, creating this really festive atmosphere. It really captures the Filipino love for Christmas. It's amazing how Christmas traditions can be so different, yet they share this common thread of joy and community and celebration.
It really is. We've seen how students around the world embrace both familiar and unique customs, creating this tapestry of Christmas experiences that's as diverse as the universities themselves.
It's like a global exchange of festive ideas, each one adding to the richness and beauty of the holiday season.
And as we wrap up this first part of our Christmas journey, it's important to remember that, we've highlighted some key traditions, but there are countless others out there waiting to be discovered. What's fascinating is that even in countries where Christmas isn't traditionally celebrated, we see how it's adapted and integrated into that local culture, right?
Exactly. Like in Japan, where Christmas Eve has become a romantic holiday for couples,
Yes.
it's a reminder that traditions are constantly evolving and adapting, which I think is really cool. This raises an important question. What does this all mean for you? How do these diverse perspectives on Christmas shape your understanding of the holiday?
It's definitely food for thought. It makes you realize that there's no one right way to celebrate. Whether you're roasting chestnuts by an open fire or having a barbecue on the beach, the true spirit of Christmas lies in connection, generosity, and creating meaningful memories with people you care about. And as we move on to the next part of our deep dive, we encourage you to think about what resonated with you most from these global Christmas traditions.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these traditions offer like a glimpse into the heart of each culture. We often think of Christmas as this universal celebration. But when you look closer, you see how deeply it's intertwined with these local customs and beliefs.
It's like a global tapestry,
Yeah.
with each thread representing a different way of experiencing the holiday. And speaking of global connections, our sources also touched on this idea of ethical consumption during the Christmas season, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's a really important point, I think. As we become more aware of like the social and environmental impacts of our choices, it's natural to extend that awareness to our holiday celebrations too, right?
Absolutely. One article highlighted this growing trend of choosing ethically sourced gifts,
Yes.
supporting local artisans and even opting for experiences over material possessions. It's about being mindful of the stories behind the products we buy
Yeah.
and the impact our purchases have on communities around the world, right?
Yeah. It's a shift toward conscious consumerism,
Hmm.
recognizing that our holiday spending can have these ripple effects far beyond our own homes.
Mm.
And this awareness is also extending to concerns about environmental sustainability, too.
Right. There's a growing movement to reduce waste during the holidays, from choosing reusable decorations to minimizing packaging, and even opting for digital greeting cards. It's about enjoying the festive spirit without adding to the burden on the planet, right?
Exactly. It's encouraging to see this shift towards more sustainable and ethical practices becoming part of the conversation around Christmas, I think. It's a reminder that even amidst the joy and celebration, we can make choices that align with our values.
It's about finding that balance, right, between tradition and responsibility, making the holidays meaningful for ourselves and for the world around us. And speaking of traditions, our sources also delved into the evolution of Christmas carols over time,
Oh, yeah.
which I found really interesting.
Christmas carols are such an integral part of the holiday experience. They evoke this sense of nostalgia and shared emotion.
Mm.
But what's fascinating is how these carols have transformed over centuries, reflecting changing social norms and cultural influences,
Mm.
right?
One source pointed out that many of the carols we sing today actually have roots in medieval folk songs or even ancient pagan rituals. It's amazing to think about the layers of history woven into these seemingly simple tunes.
Yeah. It's a testament to the enduring power of music and storytelling. You know how these melodies and lyrics have been passed down through generations, adapting and evolving along the way?
And even today, new carols are being written, reflecting contemporary experiences and perspectives, too.
Mm.
It's like this ongoing conversation between the past and the present, expressed through the language of music.
Yeah, it's beautiful how these carols connect us to a shared cultural heritage, while also giving space for new voices and interpretations.
It's a reminder that traditions aren't static, but rather living, breathing entities that adapt and grow with us. Now, shifting gears a bit, our sources also explored the psychological aspects of gift giving during Christmas, which I found so interesting.
Yeah, gift giving is more than just a material exchange. It's like a complex social act that's laden with meaning and emotion. Psychologists have studied the motivations behind gift giving and the impact that it has on both the giver and the receiver.
Yeah, one article highlighted this idea that gift giving can strengthen social bonds, expressing love and appreciation and even a sense of obligation. It can also be a way to communicate our understanding of the recipient, showing that we've put thought and effort into selecting something they'll truly enjoy.
Of course, there's also that element of reciprocity, right?
Yeah.
Gift giving often creates this expectation of a return gift,
Hmm.
which can sometimes lead to feelings of pressure or even anxiety, especially during a season when budgets are stretched thin.
It's interesting how gift giving can be both a joyful and a stressful experience,
Yeah.
depending on those individual circumstances and cultural norms.
Right. And it's important to remember that the true spirit of gift giving lies in the thoughtfulness and the intention behind it, and not necessarily the monetary value of the gift itself, right?
That's a really good point to keep in mind, especially during a season that's often bombarded with these commercial messages. Speaking of commercialism, our sources also explore the impact of marketing and advertising on Christmas traditions, which was really interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Christmas has become a major commercial event, and marketing plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions of the holiday and influencing our spending habits.
hmm One article traced the evolution of Santa Claus from a religious figure to this jolly gift-giving icon, largely driven by marketing campaigns by companies like Coca-Cola in the early 20th century.
Oh, wow.
It's fascinating how these campaigns have really shaped our collective image of Santa Claus and his role in Christmas.
It shows how cultural icons can be molded and repurposed to fit commercial interests, and this influence extends far beyond Santa Claus, too. Think about the way advertising shapes our expectations for Christmas decorations, the gifts we buy, and even the food we eat during the holidays.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the frenzy of consumerism, especially during a season that's so heavily marketed, right?
It's important to be aware of those influences and to make conscious choices about how we want to celebrate Christmas. It's about finding that balance, right, between embracing the festive spirit and maintaining a sense of authenticity and personal meaning.
Now let's shift our focus to a more historical perspective. Our sources delved into the origins of Christmas traditions, tracing them back to ancient pagan celebrations and the Roman festival of Saturnalia.
Oh, yeah. Christmas, as we know it today, is this blend of traditions and influences that have evolved over centuries. Many of its elements, like gift giving, feasting, and decorating evergreen trees, have roots in ancient pagan rituals that celebrated the winter solstice and the return of the sun.
One source even mentioned the Roman festival of Saturnalia, this week-long celebration dedicated to the god Saturn, which took place in December. It was a time of feasting, gift-giving, gambling, and even role reversals, where slaves were temporarily granted freedom.
It's fascinating to see how some of these ancient customs have been absorbed into Christmas celebrations, albeit with like different meanings and interpretations.
It's a reminder that traditions aren't created in a vacuum, but rather emerge from this complex interplay of cultural influences and historical events.
And this process of cultural exchange and adaptation continues today as Christmas traditions are spread and reinterpreted across the globe.
Yeah, it's like a living testament to the interconnectedness of human cultures and the enduring power of tradition.
And as we wrap up the second part of our deep dive, it's worth reflecting on how these historical insights and cultural perspectives enrich our understanding of Christmas. What traditions resonate with you most? What new insights have you gained?
We encourage you to continue exploring these diverse Christmas experiences and to think about how they shape your own understanding and celebration of the holiday. As we enter this final part of our Christmas deep dive, I find myself reflecting on the sheer diversity of traditions that we've explored, you know, from ancient rituals to modern marketing campaigns. It's amazing to see how Christmas has evolved and adapted over time and across cultures.
It really highlights, I think, the dynamic nature of traditions, how they're constantly being shaped and reshaped by, cultural exchange, historical events, and even commercial influences.
And amidst all this change, there's this enduring core of shared values, right? Like the importance of community, the spirit of generosity, the joy of gathering with loved ones. Those seem to transcend borders and cultures.
Absolutely. Whether it's lighting candles in Ireland or sharing stollen in Germany or hanging paroles in the Philippines, there's this underlying sense of connection and celebration that unites us even in our differences.
It's a reminder that Christmas is ultimately about finding ways to create meaning and joy, both for ourselves and for those around us. And speaking of creating meaning, our sources also touched on this idea of personalizing Christmas traditions, which I think is really important.
Yeah, that's an important aspect that's often overlooked. While we inherit a lot of traditions from our families and cultures, there's also room for individual expression and creativity, right?
Yeah, one article highlighted this trend of families creating their own unique rituals, whether it's a special recipe, a quirky gift exchange game, or even just like a designated movie night. It's about making the holiday truly your own.
It's about finding those elements that resonate with your personal values and experiences and using them to create a celebration that feels authentic and meaningful for you.
It's like taking those inherited traditions and weaving them together with your own personal touches, creating a tapestry that reflects your unique family or community. And as we wrap up this global exploration of Christmas traditions, I think it's important to acknowledge that, the holiday can also be a difficult time for some people.
Yeah, you're right. For those who are grieving or facing financial hardship or feeling isolated, the festive season can amplify those challenges. It's important to approach these conversations with sensitivity and awareness.
Absolutely. One source even offered some suggestions for supporting loved ones during difficult times, emphasizing the importance of active listening, offering practical help, and just simply being present. Sometimes, like, the most meaningful gift we can give is our time and attention.
It's a reminder that compassion and empathy are essential parts of the holiday spirit, especially for those who might be struggling.
And as we bring this deep dive to a close, we want to leave you with one final thought. Amidst all the traditions and festivities, remember that the true magic of Christmas lies in the connections we make, the generosity we share, and the love we spread.
Whether you're celebrating with a grand feast or a quiet evening with loved ones, cherish those moments, create new memories, and embrace the spirit of the season.
We hope this journey through global Christmas traditions has sparked your curiosity, inspired new perspectives, and perhaps even given you some ideas for your own celebrations.
And from both of us, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year filled with joy, warmth, and connection.